Okay, so unsolved serial killer cases. I know a lot of you are really into this stuff. It's a pretty dark topic. But I got to admit, there's something about these cases that just draws you in.
Yeah, it really is like staring into the abyss of human nature.
It is. We're going to be using serial killers on the loose to kind of unpack some of the most chilling unsolved cases in the U.S.
Right. And we're going to explore, I think, beyond just the facts of each case. We're
Exactly.
talking about the strategies, what they reveal about psychology, and how they evaded capture.
Yes, the how and the why.
Yeah.
That's what's so fascinating. Like, take the Long Island serial killer.
Right.
This guy, the Craigslist ripper, was active for over a decade. More than 10 bodies near Gilgo Beach, and we still don't know who he is.
Yeah, that's crazy.
How do you even do that?
Yeah.
Especially in a place like Long Island. It's not exactly...
It's not remote.
No, not at all.
Yeah, and that's what's interesting about this case is that Serial Killers on the Loose points out a pattern that suggests a highly organized offender, which is, I mean, way beyond just being good at hiding.
Yeah.
The book highlights, the victims, all sex workers who advertised on Craigslist.
Right.
The burlap.
Oh, wow.
This wasn't random. It was very methodical, deliberate.
So it's not just about hiding, it's about control, right?
It is, yeah.
Controlling the narrative, sending a message, maybe even taunting the police.
Absolutely.
But wouldn't a pattern like that make it easier to catch him?
Well, you would think so, wouldn't you? But that's the thing about these cases. The very things that make these killers stand out, their meticulous planning, their specific victim choices,
Right.
those things also allow them to blend in.
Oh.
It's like they exploit our expectations. We're looking for the disheveled, chaotic loner.
Yeah.
When they might be leading, seemingly normal lives.
Right under our noses.
Yeah.
God, that's a terrifying thought. And it's not just the Long Island serial killer.
Right.
Serial killers on the loose brings up other cases where killers just disappear into seemingly ordinary lives.
Right.
Like the I-70 killer. Yeah, this one's a head-scratcher. Early 90s, murders along Interstate 70, all store clerks, ballistics linked them all together.
Yeah.
Same gun.
Yeah.
But they never found the guy.
Yeah, and what's perplexing about this case is that you'd assume the murder weapon would make it a slam dunk.
Yeah.
But the book really digs into why that's not always the case.
Okay.
Gun registration back then wasn't as comprehensive.
Yeah.
Plus, it theorizes the gun could have been stolen.
Oh, right, yeah.
So that adds another layer of complexity to it.
So even with evidence,
Yeah.
you still have all these unknowns.
Right.
It's like the killer just vanished.
Uh-huh.
Do you think that's why these cases are so captivating? The fact that they leave us with more questions than answers?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's something so unsettling about the unknown. It plays on our deepest fears. The idea that someone can commit these horrific acts and just disappear makes you wonder, could it happen again? Could they be living among us?
That's a chilling thought. Speaking of chilling, let's talk about the eastbound strangler.
Okay.
Shifting gears here, moving from highways and suburbs to Atlantic City,
Okay.
2006. 4 women, all sex workers, found murdered,
Yeah.
all positioned the same way.
Yeah.
It was like something out of a nightmare.
It really was. The deliberate positioning, almost theatrical,
Yeah.
that's what makes this case so disturbing.
Uh-huh.
That level of premeditation,
Yeah.
a desire to control not just the victims,
Right.
but the perception of the crimes.
Almost like they're trying to create a spectacle.
Yeah.
But wouldn't that draw more attention to the killer?
You'd think so, but remember,
Okay.
we're dealing with individuals who operate outside the boundaries of normal human behavior.
Right.
For someone like the eastbound strangler, the risk might have been part of the thrill, part of the power dynamic.
That's a scary thought.
It is.
So it's not just about hiding, it's about making a statement,
Right.
sending a message.
It is.
And it makes you wonder,
Yeah.
what was that message? What were they trying to say?
Yeah. That is one of the many unanswered questions that haunts this case.
Yeah.
But for now, let's shift our focus to a case that highlights the importance of location in these crimes.
Right.
The West Mesa bone collector.
Okay, this one hits close to home,
Yeah.
both geographically and emotionally.
Yeah.
Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Mm.
I'm sure a lot of our listeners are familiar with it.
Yeah.
But 2009, a gruesome discovery revealed a much darker side to this seemingly sunny city. Remains of 11 women and an unborn child found in a mass grave
Wow.
just west of the city. It was horrifying. a reminder that evil can really lurk anywhere.
And what's particularly chilling about the West Mesa case is the isolation of the burial site.
Right.
Serial Killers on the Loose actually dedicates an entire chapter to how location is so crucial. It argues that the killer picked a remote area to make the bodies harder to find,
Yeah.
which would delay the investigation, give them more time to disappear.
So if you can control the location,
Yeah.
you can control the narrative, you can control how the story unfolds. And in some cases, you can even control whether the story is ever told at all.
Right.
God, that's terrifying.
It is. And that's what makes these unsolved cases so compelling, so disturbing. They force us to confront the dark realities of human nature, the capacity for evil, and they leave us with this lingering sense of unease that there are monsters out there who may never be brought to justice.
And that brings us to a truly terrifying reality. It's not just about isolated cases anymore. Serial Killers on the Loose reveals a trend that's even more disturbing, the rise of highway serial killers.
Yeah. Welcome back. Last time, remember, we were talking about highway serial killers and how Serial Killers on the Loose points to all these murders linked to truck drivers. A pretty disturbing trend.
Yeah, it really freaked me out. I mean, we think of highways as like connecting us all, these arteries of freedom, you know?
Yeah.
But for some people, it's a hunting ground.
It's true.
It's crazy. Yeah. The book mentions the FBI's Highway Serial Killings Initiative.
Yep.
And they've already linked like 850 murders to truck drivers.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And they think that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
So someone could be out there right now driving those same routes that we take.
Yeah.
Leaving a trail of victims. It's scary.
It's a perfect cover, in a way.
Is it really?
I mean, think about it. They're constantly on the move, right?
Yeah.
Crossing state lines, interacting with tons of people at truck stops and rest areas.
Yeah.
It's really difficult for law enforcement to track all of that.
I can imagine.
Especially, I mean, some of the victims themselves might be transient.
Right, so they're hard to identify too.
Exactly.
So you've got a mobile perpetrator, mobile victims, a network of highways that, you know, covers the whole country.
The whole country.
It's like trying to find a needle in a haystack.
Right.
And what's even worse is the book estimates like a quarter of these highway killings are unsolved.
Exactly. So we're not just talking about historical cases. There are probably active serial killers right now who are truck drivers.
Living among us.
Blending in, yeah.
Oh, that's creepy. How do we even, I mean, how do we stop them? How do we, like, figure out who they are before they kill again?
Yeah, it feels like an impossible task.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't pull over every truck driver, right? No. But there has to be something.
Yeah. What does the book say? What can law enforcement do?
Well, Serial Killers on the Loose talks a lot about collaboration between agencies, sharing data, and also developing more sophisticated profiling techniques.
Like what? What kind of techniques?
Well, one of the things it points out is that we need to move beyond just traditional profiling.
Okay.
Which focuses on things like, you know, demographics, psychological profiles. We need to look more at behavioral patterns, travel routes, and these points of convergence that might link these cases.
So instead of focusing on, like, who they are, we need to focus on how they operate.
Exactly.
Where they go, who they might be targeting.
Yeah.
It's like connecting the dots on a map.
Right.
You're looking for patterns.
Yeah, exactly.
And that reveals the bigger picture.
Right, and the more data, from truck stops, credit card transactions, cell phone records.
Oh, yeah.
The more likely we are to spot those patterns.
And stop these guys.
And stop them, yeah.
It's almost like we need a whole new, like, branch of forensics dedicated to this.
It's possible.
But even with all the data, all the technology, you're still dealing with human behavior.
You are.
Which can be unpredictable.
Absolutely.
You know, we've been talking a lot about the killers, their methods, how hard they are to catch, but we should probably talk about the victims for a second.
Oh, for sure.
These aren't just statistics.
No, they're people.
They have families, stories, lives that were cut way too short.
Exactly.
And in a lot of these cases, their stories are never told.
Yeah, it's...
We can't lose sight of the human cost.
No, you're right.
You know, for every unsolved case, there's a family with no answers.
Yeah.
Haunted by the unknown.
It's true.
They deserve justice.
Absolutely.
Closure. And for their loved ones to be remembered, Serial Killers on the Loose has a whole section about the families.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, and it highlights the challenges they face.
Like what?
Well, there's the lack of closure, obviously.
Right.
The media scrutiny.
Yeah.
And the constant fear that the killer might never be caught.
It's a tough reality to live with.
Yeah, these cases aren't just puzzles to be solved. They're
Yeah.
tragedies
They are.
with a lasting impact.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to keep these cases in the public eye.
Yeah.
Keep the pressure on law enforcement,
Yeah.
and support organizations that are working on these cases.
Uh-huh.
Every tip, every little piece of information
Yeah.
could be the key to solving one of these cases,
Right.
bringing closure to a grieving family.
It's a reminder that we all have a role to play, right?
You do.
In keeping our communities safe and making sure these victims aren't forgotten.
Absolutely.
But, okay, let's circle back
Okay.
to the challenges of actually, finding and catching these guys.
Yeah.
We talked about data sharing,
Yeah.
collaboration,
Right.
better profiling.
Uh-huh.
What about the cases that have already gone cold?
Oh, the cold cases.
Yeah,
Those are tough.
the ones that have baffled investigators, for years.
Years, decades.
Yeah, decades even.
Yeah, those weigh heavily on investigators' minds.
I bet, and the families.
And the families.
But even in those cases,
Mm-hmm.
where it seems hopeless,
Yeah.
there's got to be some hope, right?
Oh, there's always hope.
What do you mean?
Well, as technology gets better, so do our tools.
Okay.
Think about DNA analysis. It's completely changed how we solve cold cases.
How so?
Well, a sample that maybe was unusable years ago
Huh?
could be the key to solving something today.
Because of new techniques.
Exactly.
So, like, even a tiny bit of DNA,
Right.
a drop of blood or something,
Yeah.
could crack a case.
That's been cold for years, absolutely.
Wow. It's like a time machine for justice.
It is. It really
You take
is.
something from the past,
Yeah,
solve a mystery in the present.
that's right.
That's pretty amazing.
It is. Serial Killers on the Loose talks about a case with a fingerprint from the 70s,
Oh, wow.
and it was just matched to a suspect recently.
Because of the databases and stuff.
Exactly. Better technology.
It's not just about the tech, though, right?
No, you're right.
It's about the people who are willing to go back and look at these old cases
With fresh eyes. Yeah.
with a new perspective.
Yeah.
And with the will to use all these new tools.
Definitely.
God, it makes you wonder.
Yeah.
How many other cases are just sitting there
Waiting for a breakthrough.
waiting for that one piece of evidence, that one detective who won't give up?
Yeah. It's a good point.
And that's where I think the community plays a role.
I agree.
It's not just the labs and the databases.
Mm.
It's about people, talking to each other, coming forward,
Sharing information.
sharing information, even if it seems small.
Right, exactly.
You always see those tip lines on those crime shows.
Yeah, yeah.
Do those things actually work?
They do, yeah.
They do.
Sometimes it's just one call.
Wow.
One person who saw something weird
Yeah,
that breaks a case wide open.
that's incredible.
It is. And the book really emphasizes how important it is for the police
Yeah.
to build that trust with communities.
Right. Yeah.
So people feel safe to come forward.
So it's not just about catching the bad guy.
Right.
It's about everyone looking out for each other
Exactly.
and having the courage to say something.
Yeah, to speak up.
It's powerful.
It is. It really is. What about the families of the victims?
That's a good point. I mean, for them, it's not just about solving the case.
No.
It's about, finding answers,
Right.
understanding what happened,
Mm-hmm.
honoring their loved ones,
God,
getting that
cool.
closure,
Yeah.
having some peace of mind, even if it's painful,
Yeah.
to just know.
To know, yeah.
And the families, they can really keep these cases alive, right?
They can, yeah.
Keep
Yeah.
the pressure on.
On law enforcement, yeah.
Yeah.
To keep looking.
And they make sure their loved ones aren't forgotten.
Right.
But it's got to be so hard
It is, yeah.
to live with that loss.
That uncertainty.
Yeah, the uncertainty.
Yeah.
And to have to, keep fighting for answers.
For years, yeah.
For years and years.
It's tough.
Decades sometimes.
It is, and that's why it's so important to support them,
How do we do that?
Well, we can offer resources.
Okay.
Just listen to their stories,
Yeah.
acknowledge their pain.
Mm.
Serial Killers on the Loose actually has some interviews with family members.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and their resilience is amazing.
Wow.
Their determination to find answers and to honor their loved ones.
That's incredible.
It's inspiring.
It's a reminder that even when something horrible happens, there's still hope
There is.
and strength
Yeah,
and this belief that justice is possible,
it is.
even if it takes a while.
Even if it's delayed. Yeah.
All this talk about technology and forensics,
Yeah.
it's really interesting, but sometimes the most important clues
Mm-hmm.
come from the people closest to the victims.
Oh, absolutely.
The families, the friends.
The neighbors.
Yeah, the neighbor.
They have pieces of the puzzle
Yeah.
that investigators might miss.
Like what?
Well, little details,
Okay.
memories, observations, things that might not seem important at the time,
Right.
but could be crucial.
Could be the missing link.
Exactly. So community involvement is really important.
I see.
A tip from a neighbor, a memory from a friend,
Yeah.
even a rumor from a bar.
Oh, wow.
These can all be valuable.
It's like everyone's working together
Yeah, a collective effort,
to find justice.
then bring closure.
And sometimes that's all it takes, right?
Sometimes it is, yeah.
That collective effort
That shared determination.
to break the case open.
Absolutely.
And we can't forget about the investigators.
The detective.
Yeah, the detectives. The ones you see in movies,
Yeah.
obsessing over every little detail.
Working tirelessly
Yeah, sometimes risking their lives.
to catch the bad guy.
Yeah, to catch the bad guy.
It's dramatic,
It is.
but it's also about a real commitment to justice, refusing to give up.
even when it seems hopeless.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The book has interviews with some detectives.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah, and they talk about how it affects their lives,
Yeah.
the sleepless nights, the frustration,
Yeah.
but also the feeling when they get a break.
When they catch the killer.
Yeah, that feeling of satisfaction.
It must be incredible.
Is.
It's a good reminder that behind all the stats and the forensics,
Yeah.
the media hype,
Mm-hmm.
there are real people.
Real people.
These investigators,
Yeah.
they're driven to do this.
By a sense of purpose.
Yeah, a belief that every victim deserves justice,
Absolutely.
no matter how long it takes.
No matter how long it takes.
And that belief,
Yeah.
that commitment, that's often what makes the difference.
Between a cold case.
And a solved one.
That's right.
It's inspiring,
It is.
to know there are people out there who do this,
Yeah.
fighting for those who can't fight for themselves.
It's true.
But even with all the dedication, all
Yeah.
the technology,
Uh-huh.
there are still those cases.
That remain unsolved.
Yeah. The question is, what will unlock those mysteries? What could lead to a breakthrough?
That's a great question, and that's what we'll be exploring in our final part.
Okay, I'm ready. Wow. This deep dive into serial killers on the loose has been pretty intense.
Yeah, it has.
We've learned so much about these unsolved cases.
The complexities.
The dead ends, but also,
The glimmers of hope.
yeah, the glimmers of hope. That's what keeps everyone going, right?
It is.
But you were saying last time that sometimes the answer to solving these cases lies in a place we might not expect.
Yeah, the past.
The past. What do you mean?
Well, think about it.
Look.
Decades ago, the tools we have now, like DNA analysis, facial recognition, they were basically science fiction.
Right.
So what might have seemed like a dead end back then could actually be the key to solving a case now.
You mean like old evidence could hold new clues
Exactly.
if you look at it with like modern techniques?
Yeah. The book actually talks about this case where a fingerprint from a crime scene in the 70s.
Wow, the 70s.
Yeah, it was finally matched to a suspect just recently.
Because of new fingerprint databases and stuff.
Exactly.
That's incredible. It's like using the past to solve a mystery in the present.
It really is. And it's not just about the technology.
Right.
It's also about the people who are willing to go back and look at these old cases.
Yeah, with fresh eyes.
With a fresh perspective and the determination to use all the tools we have.
Yeah, and who knows how many other cases are out there.
Just waiting for that one breakthrough.
Waiting for that piece of evidence or that one detective who just won't give up.
It's a good...
And that's where the community can really make a difference, right?
Oh, absolutely.
It's not just about labs and databases.
No, it's about people coming forward,
Sharing information, even if it seems unimportant.
Right.
Like those tip lines you see on TV.
Yeah, the tip lines, do they really work?
Yeah, do they?
They absolutely can. Sometimes it's just one call,
Yeah.
One person remembers something,
Yeah.
and it just breaks the case wide open.
Wow, that's amazing.
It really is. And the book emphasizes how crucial it is for law enforcement to build trust with communities.
To make people feel safe to talk to them.
Exactly.
It's not just about catching the killer then. It's about like
creating a network.
A network, yeah.
Where everyone's looking out for each other.
And people feel like they can actually say something.
That they can come forward.
That's pretty powerful.
It is.
What about the families of the victims, though? Where do they fit in?
Well, for them, it's not just about solving the case.
Right.
It's about getting those answers.
Yeah, understanding
what happened.
and honoring their loved ones.
Absolutely.
It's about getting that closure.
That peace of mind. Yeah.
And they can actually be really important in keeping these cases alive, right?
They can, yeah.
They can keep the pressure
By
on
law enforcement.
to keep investigating.
And they make sure their loved ones aren't forgotten.
Right.
They're a voice for the voiceless.
But it must be so hard for them
It is.
to live with that loss, that uncertainty.
And to keep pushing for answers.
For years.
Sometimes for decades.
We need to support those families.
Absolutely, we do.
Give them resources.
Just listen.
Yeah, listen to their stories.
Serial Killers on the Loose has some interviews with family members.
It does.
Yeah, and their resilience is amazing.
I can imagine.
They're determined to find answers.
And to honor their loved ones.
Yeah.
That's going to be tough.
It is, but it's inspiring.
It is inspiring.
Yeah.
It's a good reminder, I think, that even when something so awful happens, there's still hope.
There is.
And strength. And that belief in justice.
Even if it takes time.
Yeah, even if it takes time.
That's right.
You know, we've talked a lot about the tech, the forensics.
Yeah.
But it's important to remember that sometimes the most important clues, they come from the people closest to the victims.
Absolutely.
The families, the friends, the neighbors.
They hold pieces of the puzzle.
Yeah, pieces that investigators might miss.
Like little details, you know?
Yeah, like what?
A memory, an observation, something that didn't seem important at the time.
Right, but could be crucial later.
Could be the missing piece, yeah.
So community involvement is really important.
It really is.
It's like a team effort.
A collective effort.
To get justice.
And bring closure.
And sometimes that's all it takes, right?
Sometimes that shared determination, that's all it takes.
Wow.
To crack a case wide open.
We've covered a lot today, and I want to thank you for, guiding us through all this.
It's been a pleasure.
Serial Killers on the Loose is a really fascinating book and kind of disturbing, but it's a good reminder that even though there's darkness out there, there are people fighting against it.
Every day.
Yeah, every day. People who want to find the truth.
And bring these killers to justice.
And I think that's something we can all take comfort in. So to everyone listening, stay vigilant, stay informed.
And keep those lights on.
Until next time, Deep Divers.